Hey, folks, Dave in the AM here for the Southern Fried Podcast and the Cornbread Nation. Hey, we appreciate your support of the Southern Fried and all that it does. As you know, we recently partnered with Patriot Mobile. We could not be more excited to be a part of any affiliate. We love all our affiliates. Patriot Mobile is a cut above. They're so awesome. They love America. And I tell you what, they've got some special recognition coming that we want to honor and give you, again, the information that you need to make the switch that will help yourself, help America, help a great company, and you help the Southern Fried. You know, as Patriot Mobile, who loves the country, as we all honor D-Day, we remember the extraordinary bravery of the American heroes who landed on Normandy's beaches to secure the freedoms that we enjoy today. Their courage echoes in the service of our military, veterans, and first responders. Patriot Mobile is proud to stand with those who protect our freedom. As America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, we do not only offer reliable nationwide coverage on all three major networks, but we also support veterans by donating a portion of every customer's bill to organizations like Folds of Honor, Tunnel to Towers, Soldier Strong, Carry the Load, Warrior Rising, and more. Switching is easy with our 100% U.S.-based customer service team. You can keep your phone, keep your number, or upgrade, and get connected right from the comfort of your own home. Every call you make supports those who have given so much for our country. Make the switch today. Use that promo code Cornbread, and you will be glad you did. You'll be supporting, again, a great American company. You'll be supporting the Southern Fried, and yes, our heroes. God bless the American soldier. God bless America. And yes, God bless you. Thank you so much. Hey, Dave in the AM here. Good to be back with you. I hope you're having a good evening here on this Tuesday. Don't forget, in the morning, we will be on at, actually we have a 5 or 5:30 show on the audio sites that emanates from Podbean. You can hear that live off Podbean. Then we go live at 6. Hello, Michael. We go live at 6 with the SFP morning show, me and Rob together again on Wednesday. So we're appreciative of that. And then Wednesday night, Hump Day Views, first Wednesday of the month, means that Steve-O, as he likes to be called, Steve-O from the Half Pine Forge is going to be in with us. And in 1 week from Wednesday will be our first ever edition of, it's a Rumble only exclusive, and half the show will be premium if you want to see it, the Southern Fried Vent. So we're looking forward to that, having fun with it. You just saw the new promo for Patriot Mobile. Big things going on. They've got some special deals going on. You always can use that promo code Cornbread and get a free month, but they've also got some specials going to get your activation paid for as well. Just great company. I love them. I was sent this awesome email earlier, and we just put that promo together. Love Patriot Mobile. What a blessing. Welcome to the MAGA Report. You know, we try to make this a weekly Monday through Friday show. But due to some issues in my wife's health and everything, there's a couple, or maybe 3 times we haven't been able to do that. But that is the goal, working around our other scheduling. We will try to do it early as we can on some nights, and some nights it might be a little later. So anyway, the MAGA Report. This one is titled, Is America Ready to Jump into the Void? We know that the issues that are going on overseas are exploding and escalating very rapidly. And there's a lot of news going on. I mean, we've got things going on with, you know, people attacking Americans. We've got the big, beautiful bill that is heavily debated within the halls of Congress right now. And the short-term, we believe, or what is being told us, the short-term tax debt increase, that will occur that's pretty massive. The senators are very divided on this. And I'm talking about the Republican side. The president, for his part, has said that in the long run, this will actually reduce the debt. Well, I'm going to tell you that it's filled with a lot of pork, and there's a lot of people not happy with the president. So we've got that going on. We've got still going on the Middle East issues and many, many other things. The president of the administration has been very busy the last day or so, even into today, with stopping funds for Pride parades. They said today that they will not recognize Pride Month, and they are removing the name off of one of the ships and will be renaming that because of the association with that and Pride. So anyway, people can like it or not like it or whatever they want, but this is news that is going on. My thoughts and my attention is still in the European theater with Ukraine and Russia. Today's news, we knew there would be something. We haven't seen the Russian response yet, and I expect it to be massive. Although they did attack, I expect it to be a lot bigger than it is. But Ukraine hit an underwater, hit the Crimean bridge underwater, did some damage. I think they've been able to reopen that, but Ukraine is wanting to show Russian military and leadership that they can get there and disrupt. It has caused massive backups in the land of Russia on their trucks, as now trucks which were used to transport these massive amount of drones, which we've seen pictures of now, that were hitting in the top of, they called them houses. They were little structures, and the top of them and the roof of them were hitting compartments that had multiple drones in. The people hauling them were Russian employees. They had no idea what they were hauling. That's why you saw people jumping out and trying to stop them. And they were instructed to park in certain places that were near air bases, and they went there and did their attack. And they even bragged about that this headquarters for this was based right next to the Russian Secret Service intelligence, basically their Secret Service there right next door. So there's a lot of bravado, a lot going on with that right now. And Russia is, according to retired Air Force Brigadier General Blaine Hope, has not been taking President Trump's calls, and they blame the Europeans, they blame America for what's going on, and have said that they have dialed in the rockets into Paris, London, and yes, Washington D.C. Now this could just be some talk, but it is not good tonight. We know we have problems in our country. We've got assets that are in the country ready to attack. Some feel like there's a a feeling before 9/11 that is occurring right now, that we're in danger from the inside, and that those that are soldiers in those that have been sent over, that were Iranian or other countries that came in, Chinese, whatever, would go into attack mode and attack in a way. And who knows, maybe those assets have been snuck into our country too. We just don't know, right? So we have all those things going on. Our attention is in many, many directions tonight. But we have Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal, two senators over there, hawking it up with Zelensky while he pulls off this attack. This is very concerning to me. There's a phenomenon known as the call of the void, the call of the void. And this is for some, not all. This is for some. Some say it's folks with higher anxiety. But I don't think it just stops with those folks. That if you're on a high place and you look over, there is some people whose thought process is not suicidal. But what if I just jump? What would happen? There's a brief fleeting moment, and they usually overcome it. But there have been many, many documented cases of people who have jumped from a high place and jumped down and died that way. So my question now is America ready to jump into the void, a void that they don't need to jump into, which is certainly going to be very destructive to America, but they've went past the point of really understanding the situation, and we've got people that are pushing the United States in ways to get them to jump into the void of which there's no return, and we're locked in. That's the question tonight. Are we fixing to jump in? Some indications would seem to say we are. Others, hopeful, say maybe not. No, I don't like feeling that way, Michael. And I do feel like that something bigger is going to happen. My gut tells me that. What that entails, I don't know. Who's to say? Some are very pleased about what's happened. They say Ukraine has dealt a massive blow to Russia. They've set them back and embarrassed them. I'm going to tell you something about Russia. Russia will respond in kind. They will not go straight into peace negotiations of any consequence without a massive, massive retaliatory strike. Not just a few hundred drones. Well, thank you, buddy, for your thoughts today. And you can go. So we don't need you. I very rarely have to do that, but banned you will be. So we see a nation that is being put on a higher alert because of what's going on, obviously. And so we see that there are dangers with that. The British, the French, the Germans are amping up their militaries. They are for influencing Ukraine even more in this war. In fact, there were members of the Ukrainian government that were in America today begging for resources and money. Are you kidding me? Like we haven't already given so much. They were there and wanting even more. Well, sure, Michael, but what is happening in this country is it could be a byproduct of a lot of those things. So I do get that. But if we fall into the trap of getting deeper into this war over here, we could find ourselves in a lot deeper state and consequences of what would happen for America. And there are warmongers who want that to happen. They're itching for it. Now, I don't normally go to the AP, but there was some AP news today that I wanted to, because we get some new information. Information is information, and we can decide what we're going to do with it. So Russia, according to this AP article, they have listed some of their demands in the latest peace talks. Now, I've heard some, but not all of these. So according to the Associated Press, and this was updated today, Russia took weeks to present Ukraine with a memorandum setting out its conditions for a ceasefire, as well as key guidelines for a comprehensive treaty to end the more than 3-year war. To practically no one's surprise, it's a list of the Kremlin's longstanding demands that Kyiv and its Western allies see as non-starters. Of course, they're going to ask for the moon. That's where it starts at. Ukraine had set its sight on negotiating before Monday's direct peace talks in Istanbul, emphasizing its readiness to declare a 30-day ceasefire immediately without preconditions that was proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Kyiv reaffirmed its refusal to abandon a bid for NATO membership because they still want in, absolutely, and rejected acknowledgement of Russia's annexation of any of its regions. Both sides have established mutually exclusive red lines that make any quick deal unlikely. I've been saying that. Zelensky's not going to be a peace partner. It's not going to happen. Moscow's demands published in the Russian media make it clear that President Vladimir Putin is determined to ensure the fulfillment of the goals in Ukraine he set when he launched the invasion February 24, 2022. Here's Moscow's conditions for a 30-day truce. Two options for the 30-day ceasefire. One option is that Ukraine must withdraw its forces from the Donetsk, Luhansk, the Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. Probably didn't say the Zaporizhzhia. Kherson, the four regions Moscow illegally annexed in September 2022 but never fully captured. The second option, described by Moscow as the package proposal, presses Ukraine to halt its mobilization efforts and freeze Western arms deliveries, conditions that were suggested earlier by Putin. On top of that, the document also demands that Ukraine begin demobilizing its military, halt any redeployment of forces, and ban the presence of any third country forces on its soil. That's never going to happen. We know that. The package option further proposes that Ukraine end martial law and hold elections. Well, we would be for that. After which the two countries could sign a comprehensive peace treaty. The Russian document declares that conditions for peace must include, quote, the international legal recognition of Moscow's 2014 annexation of Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula. We knew that was going to happen. And its 2022 annexation of the Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia regions. The Zaporizhzhia regions. It's a future peace. It says a future peace treaty should have Ukraine declare its neutral status between Russia and the West and abandon its bid to join NATO. The document demands that Ukraine limit the size of its armed forces, recognize Russian as an official language on par with Ukrainian, ban glorification and propaganda of Nazism and neo-Nazism, and dissolve nationalist groups, conditions reflecting Putin's goals from the outset of his invasion. The false allegations that neo-Nazi groups were shaping Ukraine's politics under Zelensky, who is Jewish, have been vehemently dismissed by Kyiv and its Western allies. Well, they're not the only ones saying it. So AP, of course, is going to throw that in there. False allegations. There's a lot of people said that. Absolutely. Hello, Dean. In Russians' view, a comprehensive peace treaty should also see both countries lift all sanctions and restrictions, abandon any claims to compensation for wartime damage. How about the 20,000 at least children you stole, Russia? Resume trade and communication and reestablish diplomatic ties. It also suggests that the peace treaty between Russia and Ukraine be endorsed by resolution of the UN Security Council. The memorandum that Ukraine submitted to Moscow before the talks and shared with its allies emphasized the need for a full and unconditional 30-day ceasefire to set stage for peace negotiations. It reaffirmed Ukraine's consistent rejection of Russian demands for neutral status as an attack on its sovereignty, declaring it is free to choose its alliances and adding that its NATO membership will depend on consensus with the alliance. It emphasized Kyiv's rejection of any restrictions on the size and other parameters of its armed forces, as well as curbs on the presence of foreign troops on its soil. Ukraine's memorandum also opposed recognizing any Russian territorial gains while describing the current line of contact as a starting point in negotiations. The document noted the need for international security guarantees to ensure the implementation of peace agreements and prevent further aggression. The Ukrainian peace proposal also demanded the return of all deported, here's this part, deported and illegally displaced Ukrainian children and an all-for-all prisoner exchange. It held the door open to gradual lifting of some of the sanctions against Russia if it abides by the agreement. There is no way 75 to 80% of this is ever going to happen. Not by agreement. Michael says there's no telling how many cells that have developed. As I said the other day, Europe needs to pull their resources and straighten out Ukraine. Well, actually, what they're doing is pulling the resources and encouraging Ukraine to go forward. So the hope I had of a peace that Trump maybe could apply enough pressure and get agreements here, I think that's shattered. It's absolutely shattered. There will be no peace agreement in any time soon, I believe, unless God intervenes and a miracle happens. These two are going to continue fighting. Zelensky knows that he's got the Europeans in his back pocket. They're going to keep supplying. And America is going to end up being somewhat forced their hand into working with them too. Because America doesn't want to look like it's not helping out in the world as that police force, so to speak, of the world and be put on the sidelines. There's just not going to happen. So the best that I ever thought could happen was this, that there would be a ceasefire. They would negotiate over what land that Russia's going to control, because there's no way Russia's giving back all that land unless they're kicked off of it, and that's going to require massive war with a lot of nations. Crimea, all the land that we mentioned, probably control of some of the power plants and stuff in the region. I'm not surprised they are demanding that they wouldn't go join NATO. I don't think that's going to happen anyway. There's at least two nations are going to block that. The Ukrainians are not going to get in NATO. It's just not going to work. It's a flashpoint that will spark war. And what they want to do is use Ukraine as the front border of the NATO countries, to use them as a buffer zone. And so they need. I think the world would not have too much of a problem with giving up the land that's already been taken. It's destroyed anyway, a lot of it. I could see them probably working to limit the size of the military enough, but they'll never agree to a lot of those demands. That's not going to happen. But Zelensky has to go. Russia will never make peace with this guy. I believe it. Broski Bear. Hey, I said it right. It's not asking too much by Russia. We already knew Ukraine would have to concede those. Yes. Already has Crimea. Zelensky is going to stop, though. That is the pinch point here. If Russia takes out Zelensky, what would happen after? That's a great question. I think that obviously there would be calls for Putin to be brought up on war crimes. There already has been. That there's no teeth in it. They tried to take out Putin. You can say, well, they tried to kill me. We were successful. They probably would keep Russia backed up with some sanctions, and they would be, I don't think it would lead to continued war if conditions were right. However, it could, depending on what happens. I think Ukraine is weary of war. They don't like what's happened. Nobody expects them to like what's happened. The whole thing should have never happened, as President Trump said, but that's too late. We can forget that. I do believe the war would stop then. I was thinking Zelensky is, we know what we got Putin, but let's face it, Zelensky cannot carry his own pack. Putin can. Zelensky's only leverage is that the NATO nations don't want Russia to advance toward them, and they want to help Ukraine in that. If Zelensky thinks that these nations really care about Ukraine that much, he's stupid. I don't think he probably is that stupid, but he's playing his cards really heavy for that. He's playing himself as the guy that will take Putin on. I just need your support and help. But this war has not went anywhere. He throws a big party. He takes out some planes. He tries to take out a bridge, but he don't have legs behind it. He can't keep that kind of contact up. There's no telling how long when they say a year and a half on the one. It takes a long time to develop these kinds of things, and Russia's going to hit them hard and heavy soon. I'm sure of it. I really think Kyiv is going to get hit in a way that's not been hit before. They're going to pummel Ukraine into submission. And so I think the pressure is going to be on, because if that starts happening, you start inching toward those NATO countries, Europe's going to get really They're going to get really worried about this. And I think that, sure, there's countries there that want to go to war. There's politicians in Poland that want to go to war. Lithuania, there's some different people that want to go to war there. But I do believe that. I think that's you've got, if you've got Kyiv half level and on fire, a lot of people are going to say, that's it, make peace. What, it's over. We can't keep this up. We're not going to have a country. That's Russia's battle line anyway. They pummel you into submission. I've always been, it was a tactical mistake. Early in the war, when they did land, I think that was their idea. Remember? They clogged the roads up. They had all the equipment, tanks, vehicles headed into Kyiv. They hit other areas. They occupied the military. I really think they were going to encircle Kyiv, and they were going to do just that. Pummel Kyiv into submission until Zelensky says, that's it, or the world says, you got to get out, dude. This thing's getting ugly. But they got stopped. It didn't work. They failed. They got hit hard. Tanks were lost. Vehicles were lost. Intelligence was helping Ukraine, undoubtedly. They fought hard, absolutely. We gave them equipment that really just lit up their tanks and other vehicles. They were shooting helicopters and planes out of the sky. It looked at that time like, well, at first it was Russia's going to dominate. Then it was like, maybe Ukraine can win this thing. But then it just stalled. Russia pulled back. But that is their operation. That's what they do in war. They encircle an area and they just launch and launch and launch and launch till there ain't nothing left. They don't come in and fight street by street until they have to clean up what's left. They just pummel you. That is their fighting way. That's the way they fight. They'll use artillery, drones, missiles. They'll cut off your supply lines. They'll starve you out, and they will break your will to fight. That's what they wanted to do. It just didn't happen. They couldn't get it to happen. And so here we are. Now, nobody knows everything that's going to happen. I certainly don't know. But that's what I think is going to happen. Barring World War III, there's three scenarios I have. One, it just keeps fighting on like it is. I mean, look, Iraq and Iran fought for, 10, 12 years? It keeps fighting on, but that's dangerous, and it costs the other countries lots and lots of money. Russia or other partners force Zelensky out and push for peace. Or the allies move into Ukraine. And here we are. Either Putin takes what he's got and Zelensky's gone and we get the best that we can get, or it just keeps fighting on, but no real advantage by either side, expensive, costly, man and resources. Or British, French, German, possibly American troops are on the ground, or at least in some capacity. Maybe it's some are, working with the Air Force, some are working infantry, some are working intelligence. We're already doing that anyway. We put more resources there in tanks, manpower, missiles, drones, to a level that just takes us over the edge, and we jump into the void, which was the title of this show. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. Zelensky is the key, though. Look, man, I mean, I don't like to see Russia have victory. I'm not a Russian fan. I nothing against the Russian people. I got friends inside of Russia. They don't like this crap. I'm not a fan of the KGB or none of that crap. You know what? Does it bother me that their planes got hit? Well, no, because that probably helps a lot of people. But the consequences of that are a bad deal. But you really don't think they will? Well, how about this? How about they do it? They do just enough to get us into it. Right? They're already supplying weapons, tanks, bullets, artillery shells. money. All of them have given up tanks, including America, to the cause. The HIMARS is us. Somebody's making drones for them. I mean, I'm sure they're making some of their own, but I don't think they're making all of them. We're obviously helping them intelligence-wise, jamming frequencies, showing them where to put things. Expert on the ground intelligence gathering and the electronic warfare is definitely going on. My opinion. I can't prove it, but that's my opinion. So that's where we're at. Does America jump into the void without even realizing they're jumping? They just keep walking that way a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Or does President Trump pull us back and say, look, man, you know what? Europe, we're not falling in this. We're not jumping in. You know, that was the argument about World War II, right? That they purposely, supposedly let Pearl get hit to give us the excuse to get in, and the rest is history, as they say. Is there a spark moment that's coming that some idiots involved in the military, the deep state, the Congress, somebody is ready to set us up? And here's the thing, Michael, we talked about, if you're still there, we talked about something happened in our country. What if it happens that get blamed on Russia? Russia. You see, we could easily see the American people get all up in arms. Let's get them. One event, strategic and deadly enough to get the American people to back it. Mostly, not everybody would. Angry, patriotic Americans. The recruiting offices are full of all the young men and women signing up to go fight the bad, evil monster that caused us such destruction. I wonder. I don't know that it happened. We've got people that are involved. They're nuts. I'm telling you, they're nuts. They like to go to war, get more weapons, get money for more things. All them generals haven't been replaced. There's enough of them out there that would. That's all they think about every day is strategy. The Joint Chiefs, others, these think tanks and stuff that could submit recommendations. Troop strength. What's Russia got? What's Ukraine got? Is there something we want to take out militarily through the Ukrainians to push back the Russians? All that stuff comes into play, and it's who's it got the president's ear. They said that President Trump did not know about that attack on the planes. He knew that there was ongoing operations, but they didn't tell him. I wonder if there were people in American military and or politicians who did know. We'll never find that out. But it is awful suspicious to me, as I've said in 2 shows recently. The guise of a peace, listen, that whole thing was a fake. There was never going to be any peace come out of that conference, and both sides know it. That conference was used as a screen to give them the excuse to get Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal and others in their party there to watch the attack that Ukraine was going to put on. I'll bank my name on it. I'm telling you, it's too coincidental. They paid lip service to that. They're not talking peace. They'll talk prisoner exchange, injury. They'll talk all that. There's no peace coming. I'm sure of it now. It's not going to happen. Zelensky is not a partner in peace. Putin doesn't want peace yet. He wants to expand the motherland. He wants these regions back, and he wants to hit Ukraine hard and hurt them. He's mad, and he's mad at a lot of countries. And when he spoke to Tucker, you could see that energy in his mannerisms and stuff. This man's on a mission. I thought there was a possibility. I really did, but I don't think we can get there right now. I really don't. There's still rogue government people, the U.S. government, military for sure. A boy named Lindsay needs to be investigated. I stand on that. Yes. Does Russia have the intelligence to find Zelensky? No. Here's the thing. And, early in the war, he put the death squads out, the Chechnyan death squads out to get Zelensky. And early in the war, they were moving him around, secret locations. The war, they had many bunkers and war rooms for Zelensky to get into. So he come at him from day one. It was big news that either the dude that I can't think of his name that had the militia that Putin, funded and gave weapons to, and they were instructed to take him out too. But the Chechnyans were to be the ones that would slip in on the street. I don't know how you slip a Chechen in. I mean, look at them with those beards and everything. I don't know. Maybe they convinced one to shave his beard off. I don't know. But they said that they were in Kyiv. They were Chechen death squad members in Kyiv early in the war looking for him. They were willing to lay down their life to take this guy out, blow themselves up, whatever. They didn't care. That's how crazy they are. So I absolutely wonder if they do have the intelligence to find it. Makes me wonder. 3 years in, doesn't sound like it. And the Chechens, they said at that time, they will not give up till they get their man. So they're still looking for him. And maybe Zelensky is afraid that he will never have peace, that no matter if he was to step down anyway, they'll find him and kill him. He won't have the protection of a country. That's also very possible as well, Broski. Very possible. This whole thing stinks, man. Why would you have two U.S. sitting senators in a country that's fixing to hit Russia with everything it can muster to damage its Air Force in a way it's never been damaged before? And why would you even have them people anywhere near that place when you know there's going to be a retaliatory strike? Probably several. It just stinks. The whole thing stinks to me. It come out of so left field. And this whole idea, I think they're playing the president. Zelensky is playing the president. He's, he knows he's got to listen to a degree. He's not gonna stop this war. It's not gonna happen. They believe they can push the Russians out of their country. They got to have help to do it. And that's their appeal to the world. We'll hit them. We'll fight them. We'll hurt them so much, they won't be able to fight you for 50 years. But you got to give us the stuff. And then we'll fight the fights. That's kind of where we're at, man. I mean, and so it's a rhetorical question. I don't know. I think the president, he's a pretty smart fella. He's got a lot of advisors around him. I think that they will look for a way to get out of this in a way that doesn't look like we're just telling Europe to go smoke a pipe. But, there's the British, all of them are supposedly stepping up more to pay their NATO fair share. So that has worked. I would think there'll probably be a strengthening of NATO nations that are next to Ukraine, which will also make the Russians mad. But I think that they will try to, my opinion, build up the European, not peacekeepers. I think we're moving into another phase. I think we're going to see this has been talked about for some time. I think there's going to be a military force that is assembled from all those nations and will fight under the NATO fighting force will grow to a degree, to a point that it's never grown before. Whether it's called NATO or something else. Some said it would be the European Union's military, that the European Union will have their own huge fighting force that will defend all the member states of the European Union and be ready to take on stuff like this. Britain's already said that they're going to amp up in the next 10 years and have the strongest, fiercest fighting force that's in Europe. So it's already happening. But will some of those be detached to a bigger army and military. Don't know. I kind of think that's where it's going. The European Union. I think that NATO is, they talk a big game, but they really don't want to engage. I just think that they're going to engage in a way that's not NATO, if that makes sense. Well, that's what I mean. The NATO don't, but that's why I think it'll be a fighting force that is under the auspices of the European Union to be used at their discretion. They will wear a completely different uniform than their home country. They will be used to fight this military force to meet threats, and a lot of money, equipment will be bought for it, and that will be the force. It's really been talked about already. There's a lot of U.S. soldiers talked about things that they've heard that refuse to wear the insignias of others, whether it was UN or whatever. But that's kind of been talked about for a while. Might we say it this way, that the globalists of the world want a way to control people anyway, and we know that war always brings more control, and all of this is probably fiction to put the clamps down on more freedom of movement in Europe and just a further control by the elite few. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. It'll be the screen. It'll be the excuse for that. It'll be the excuse for that. We've got to do this to protect ourselves. Even though they open their borders and let all the freaks in, they'll do this to control the people. What a mess. As you said, what a mess that we are in as a world, as a nation. It just stinks to high heaven. There's no path out. It's like I said, countries are just jumping in, and the drums of war they're getting louder. And now Zelensky's like, look what we did. I can do this. You give me the stuff, I'll hurt them. I'll make them back out. What's next? They're gonna hit the Kremlin? What if they take out Putin? Huh. There's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake. You've got the North Koreans involved, the Chinese from afar in different ways. The Iranians are involved for sure. They build the drones for them, Russia. So you have the unholy alliance, Russia, Iran, North Korea, China out there. Kind of, they float their own boat, but they do buy oil and stuff from Russia. That's how they've kept the money flowing. People are growing very distasteful of Zelensky. They don't like him. And yes, because of the Jewish part, you got all these people that are very upset about this and saying it's an Israeli Mossad operation. It's out there. To what extent that could have any truth to it, I know not. But that's what you hear, that this is an Israeli Mossad operation that they're doing to fight enemies that they fear will try to come after them. Notice it, Iran, Russia. These are some countries that's made threats. North Korea. All we got to do is drag a few Arab states in and look what the mess we got. Oh, and who was over hitting the Arab states? The Houthis. That was us. It's like the whole thing is kind of blowing up. But there's always hope. There's always some things that can happen that can slow this down, and we sure need to pray. And the hand of God, His will go forth, and even beyond ourselves. We could monkey it up so bad, but God can overcome that. And let's pray that happens. Let's pray, because I'm telling you, if we go to war, a military draft will be instituted. There's no doubt about it in my mind. We don't have enough. They will put the military draft back in, and then that's going to be ugly here in the home state. So, well, sure, I'm for that. Get the military strong. at every level. Because you got to be ready to meet those threats. The Golden Dome. There was talk about the U.S. is wanting Japan to help pay for that or be with it. We've got this allegiance with Japan. You know, I don't know. That's a whole nother one. The Russians and the Japanese don't get along either over those islands over there that one side has and the other side won't. My God. Then you got Pakistan and India. It just goes on and on and on. President, you got to thread that needle, baby. You got to thread the needle. We got to de-escalate. We got to be strong, but de-escalate at the same time. But back up our words. Don't say something you have to, that's going to take you over the top. But be ready for anything, and that's kind of where we're at tonight. And I just hope for the best. That's your MAGA report. I'm Dave in the AM. We'll see you in the morning. Let's pray the news day brings some better news. Tomorrow's Hump Day. Hump Day. You'll be halfway through the week. Don't forget, Patriot Mobile, Mammoth Nation, Podbean, W Energy, all of our affiliates. And especially remember Patriot Mobile's honoring of D-Day. Kind of ironic, isn't it? What we're honoring, and look what's happened over there. My goodness. Let's hope it all works out. I don't think anybody wants that. All right. Take care, my friends. We'll see you in the morning. Going to get some rest. I've got several things to do for the podcast anyway. And it's getting a little bit later. I normally am a night owl, but tonight I probably need to get to bed earlier. We'll see you in the morning.